Force yourself to always stay positive. You have absolute control over one thing, your thoughts. When you discipline your mind to dwell only on the positive, you shape your destiny. Every hardship carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Search for it. Refuse to entertain fear, doubt, or negativity. They poison the soil where success must grow. Train yourself daily to expect great things, and great things will begin to unfold. 1. Guard your thoughts like treasure. Positivity is a conscious choice. 2. See setbacks as stepping stones, not stop signs. 3. Speak only words that lift, empower, and strengthen your spirit. 4. Surround yourself with influences that feed your optimism. 5. Train your mind daily to expect success, not fear failure. Guard your thoughts like treasure. Positivity is a conscious choice, and make no mistake, it is not always easy, but it is always possible. You see, the mind is like a fertile field, and every thought you allow to land in it will either blossom into a rose or grow into a thorn. You are the gatekeeper, the watchman at the door of your own mind, and if you allow just any thought to walk in unchecked, especially those dark, poisonous, discouraging thoughts, then you give away your power without even realizing it. Too many people walk through life letting their circumstances dictate their attitude, waiting for good things to happen before they allow themselves to feel good. But that is the way of the defeated. Winners, achievers, those who climb high and stay there, they understand something far more powerful, that the right attitude comes before the right results. Your external world will never consistently outshine the quality of your internal thinking. If you think in shadows, you will walk in shadows. But if you force your mind to look for light, you begin to attract more of it. This is not about being naive or ignoring reality. This is about shaping your reality through the lens of empowered thought. Every day when you wake up, life will throw distractions, setbacks, worries, and temptations at your mind, trying to steer it away from positivity, and your job is to recognize this for what it is, a battle for your mental territory, and then to choose deliberately, again and again, to stay aligned with thoughts of strength, hope, progress, and abundance. Just like a bank vault doesn't open for strangers, your mind must not open for negative influences. You've got to protect it, because every single thought you entertain is either a step toward your highest potential or a slow drift backward into mediocrity and despair. Some people say, "I can't help how I think, that's just how I feel." But that is the language of surrender. You were born with the power to control your inner world, and it starts by recognizing that every emotion, every reaction, every perspective begins as a thought, and every thought can be redirected if you're willing to do the work. It's like exercising a muscle. At first, your mind will resist. It's been trained to complain, to fear, to expect the worst, maybe even since childhood, but now is the moment to break that cycle. Now is the time to become aware of every time your mind tries to wander into doubt or criticism or blame, and to pull it back, just like a parent guiding a child, saying, "No, not this way, we're going towards something better," and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Thoughts of gratitude begin to replace complaints. Thoughts of strength begin to drown out worry, and suddenly you start seeing opportunities where there used to be obstacles. You start believing in people again, especially yourself. You find energy where there used to be exhaustion. That's the hidden power of guarding your thoughts. It changes the entire experience of your life, not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger. Look around and you'll see it everywhere. Two people face the same situation. One sees ruin, the other sees a challenge. One says, "I can't." The other says, "Watch me." What's the difference? It's not luck. It's not fate. It's the choice to guard one's thoughts with the same care a soldier guards a gate. You must remind yourself, daily if necessary, that positivity is not pretending everything is perfect. It is choosing to believe you have the power to respond in a way that brings growth, healing, and progress. This isn't wishful thinking, it's willful thinking, it's mental discipline, it's emotional maturity, and it becomes your secret weapon in every area of life: relationships, health, finances, dreams. You'll find that people are drawn to your energy not because you have all the answers, but because you have decided not to be ruled by fear, bitterness, or negativity. And when setbacks come, because they will, you don't crumble. You reflect, you learn, and you rise. That's the mark of someone who guards their thoughts like treasure. The mind is the origin of all achievement and all failure, and nothing meaningful can ever take root in the soil of a negative mindset. So yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes repetition. Yes, it takes waking up every single day and saying, "Today, I will stand guard at the door of my mind." But in doing that, you are reclaiming your authority, your dignity, and your future. You are planting seeds that may take time to grow, but once they bloom, they will bear fruit for a lifetime. That's the life you deserve. That's the mindset that wins. That's the beginning of all greatness. So don't wait for positivity to come knocking. Don't let the world decide how you feel or what you believe. Stand up, take ownership, and say, "No more letting in the thieves of my joy. No more hosting fear and feeding it. No more letting anger unpack its bags. From this day forward, only thoughts that serve my highest self get to stay." You were given a mind to use, not to be used by it. And once you understand that truth, once you commit to it, your entire life begins to change because you've tapped into a power greater than any obstacle. Your ability to choose the quality of your own thoughts every moment of every day, no matter what. That, right there, is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the watchers from the builders, and the defeated from the triumphant. It's a mindset and it's a decision. Make it yours, guard it, live it, and never forget, it all begins inside. See setbacks as stepping stones, not stop signs, because the truth is, no one ever reaches greatness without stumbling along the way, and the sooner you accept that struggle is not the enemy but a hidden ally, the sooner you'll rise above every disappointment life throws at you. Most people hit a wall and stop. They fold, retreat, throw their hands in the air and whisper, "Maybe it's not meant to be." But let me tell you, every single person who built something meaningful, something lasting, something worth remembering, met that same wall, and instead of stopping, they leaned in, climbed over, or broke straight through it, because they had trained their minds to see beyond the obstacle. You've got to stop treating failure like a full stop. It's merely a comma in the sentence of your success. Each setback is life's way of testing how badly you want it, how deeply you believe in your dream, and how resilient you're willing to become in the process. You see, every time life knocks you down, you are faced with two choices. Either you stay down and let that moment define your limits, or you get up with more fire, more wisdom, and more hunger than before. Setbacks come dressed as delays, rejections, criticism, even betrayal, and while most people waste energy cursing them, the wise step back, observe, extract the lesson, and get moving again. You must understand this. If you stop at every difficulty, if you give up every time something doesn't go your way, then success will remain a fantasy. But if you develop the mindset that every misstep is a message, every failure a form of feedback, every challenge a chance to sharpen your spirit, then you will no longer fear setbacks. You will begin to expect them and even welcome them, knowing they're here not to break you, but to build you. And don't fall for the illusion that others have it easier. Behind every strong person is a past filled with pain, loss, and perseverance. Their strength wasn't born from ease, it was forged in fire. They didn't become unshakable because things always went right. They became unstoppable because they refused to let things that went wrong stop them. When the world told them no, they whispered yes in their own hearts. When the door slammed shut, they found another way in. When they hit rock bottom, they used it as a foundation to rise. That's how champions think. That's how winners move. And you, too, must take every disappointment and ask, what is this trying to teach me? What can I learn, improve, or do differently next time? Because when you ask the right questions, you unlock growth. But when you complain, you shut the door to progress. So, rewire the way you think about setbacks. Don't see them as curses. See them as courses, teaching you lessons no book ever could. When a plan fails, don't call it the end. Call it version 1. When someone walks away, don't call it rejection. Call it redirection. When your efforts fall short, don't say, I'm not good enough. Say, I'm getting better. That simple shift in perspective turns pain into power, and instead of giving up, you dig deeper, and with every dig, you discover more strength, more clarity, more purpose. Let me ask you, how many dreams died because someone mistook a temporary defeat for a permanent dead end? Too many, and it's not because they weren't capable, it's because they saw the setback and chose to see a stop sign instead of a sign to step up. If Thomas Edison stopped after the 100th failure, the world would have stayed dark. If Abraham Lincoln gave up after years of rejection and defeat, history would have forgotten his name. If every inventor, artist, builder, leader, and pioneer let the weight of failure paralyze them, progress would have never moved an inch. But they didn't. They rose, they stumbled forward, they used every mistake as a mirror to reflect, refine, and return stronger, and you must do the same. Life will not apologize for being difficult. It will not cater to your comfort zone. But it will reward your persistence. It will honor your grit. It will test you to see if you're serious, and if you pass the test, if you keep going when others quit, you will earn the strength, the experience, the wisdom that cannot be bought or borrowed, only earned. That's the secret most people miss. Setbacks aren't punishments. They are preparation. They shape you into the person who can handle the success you're chasing. They strip away your excuses, expose your weaknesses, and force you to grow into someone wiser, sharper, and more focused. And when you stop fearing failure and start using it, you gain a superpower, resilience, because once you've faced enough setbacks and kept going, you stop being intimidated by challenges. You begin to walk through storms with calm, knowing you've been through worse and still came out standing. And that mindset, that confidence, that mental toughness, it's not given, it's earned, one setback at a time. So, the next time something doesn't go your way, don't let your emotions write the story. Let your vision lead. Remind yourself that this isn't the end, it's a bend in the road. Take a deep breath, step back, and ask, what is the next best move I can make from here? Because there is always a next move. There is always another step, and every step forward makes you stronger than the last. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't the number of failures, it's the number of times they chose to rise. So rise with bruises, rise with doubts, rise with fear in your chest and fire in your soul, but rise and keep rising, because one day you'll look back and realize that every setback you thought was trying to destroy you was actually guiding you to something greater. You'll see how every failure pushed you toward growth, how every rejection protected you from something not meant for you, how every hard lesson made you wiser than you could have been without it. And in that moment, you'll finally understand, none of it was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single stumble, not a single sleepless night. It was all carving you into something unstoppable. So don't fear the fall, fear staying down, don't fear mistakes, fear not learning from them. Don't fear pain, fear letting it make you bitter instead of better, and never ever treat a setback like a stop sign again, because it's not. It's a test. it's a teacher, it's a tool. Use it, rise from it. And keep marching forward like your dream depends on it, because it does. Speak only words that lift, empower, and strengthen your spirit, because every word you utter is either planting seeds of power or sowing doubt into the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And whether you realize it or not, you're constantly feeding your future with the sound of your own voice. What you say out loud has a way of becoming what you start to believe internally, and what you believe internally determines how you act, how you think, how you dream, and eventually how you live. That's the cycle, and if you don't control it consciously, it will control you unconsciously, shaping your entire life without you even noticing. Words carry energy, and that energy either builds you up or tears you down, so why would you ever allow your mouth to become the enemy of your progress? Think about it. How many times have you said things like, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," "It's too late," or "I'm just unlucky"? These aren't harmless phrases. These are verbal chains, shackling your potential before it ever gets the chance to breathe. The subconscious mind doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't know when you're joking or venting or being sarcastic. It simply records, accepts, and begins to build patterns based on repetition. Say something negative enough times and it will sink its claws deep into your belief system, and suddenly you're not just speaking defeat. You're living it. But the good news is, this works in reverse too. Speak power into your life, and over time, you begin to feel it. You begin to walk taller, think clearer, push harder, and dream bolder, all because your words created a foundation of belief. This isn't empty talk, it's the law of reinforcement. What you affirm consistently becomes embedded, and what's embedded becomes automatic. That's why you must train your tongue to speak life, even when life feels heavy. Even when the odds are stacked, even when fear knocks at your door, you must declare things that lift you higher. Say, "I am capable, I am evolving, I am not my past, I am ready." Let these words become your armor, your morning medicine, your daily declaration that no matter what the world says, you will speak your own truth into existence. And let me tell you something, there will be people who try to talk you out of your power. There will be critics, doubters, even friends and family who tell you to be realistic, to lower your expectations, to stop dreaming so big, but you don't have to absorb their limitations. You don't have to echo their fear. You can choose every single day to speak words that elevate, not words that shrink, because here's the truth, your words don't just affect you, they affect everything around you. Your energy becomes contagious. The words you use shape the atmosphere in your home, your workplace, your relationships, your opportunities. A person who speaks life walks into a room and brings light with them. A person who constantly complains drains the room of energy before they even sit down. You get to decide which one you'll be, so stop waiting for circumstances to change before you change your language. Flip the script now. Start with your self-talk, that inner dialogue running through your mind. Clean it up. Replace self-criticism with self-encouragement. Swap doubt for direction. Instead of saying, "I always mess things up," say, "I'm learning and getting better every day." Instead of saying, "Nothing ever works out for me," say, "I'm figuring it out and my breakthrough is coming." This shift may seem small, but it is revolutionary. Over time, it rewires how you think, and how you think rewires how you act. And soon, what felt impossible starts to feel inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you changed the words you used to describe it. And it doesn't stop with how you speak to yourself. It extends to how you speak to others too. Speak encouragement to people, lift them, cheer for them, become the kind of person who leaves others better than you found them, not through grand gestures, but through kind words, thoughtful affirmations, small reminders that they matter, that they're capable, that they're not alone. There's enough criticism in the world already. Be different, be a builder, and you'll find that in building others, you're also building yourself. You'll feel lighter, freer, more aligned with the person you were meant to be. Because lifting others with your words strengthens your own soul. The act of kindness through speech is never one way. It circles back and feeds the speaker too. But if you choose to gossip, complain, criticize, or tear down, then you're not just hurting others, you're poisoning your own garden. Every word you speak either pollutes or purifies, and that choice belongs to you and no one else. It's time to take responsibility for that. It's time to understand that your mouth is not just an instrument of communication. It is a tool of creation. Speak peace and you'll start to feel more peaceful. Speak abundance and opportunities start showing up in unexpected places. Speak health and your body responds. Speak faith and your courage begins to expand. Again, this isn't magic, it's mindset. This is the power of mental conditioning through verbal repetition. Winners talk differently. Leaders speak differently. Visionaries use their words like chisels, carving out the future with phrases of power and conviction, not fear and hesitation. And you must learn to do the same. Practice it, train it, be intentional with it. Don't wait until you feel positive to speak positive. Speak it first and the feeling will follow. Your tongue is the thermostat of your life. It sets the tone, the temperature, the direction. If you're always saying it's hard, I can't, I'll fail, then don't be surprised when life reflects exactly that. But change the language, and you begin to change the lens through which you see the world. And when you change your lens, you change your life. So every day, before you let the world get a word in, you be the first to speak. Speak with faith, speak with authority, speak with vision. Even if your voice trembles, let it say something strong. You've got dreams to chase, mountains to climb, battles to win. Don't let your own words become the weapons used against your success. Declare victory, not defeat. Declare growth, not stagnation. Declare love, not bitterness. Because the most powerful thing you'll ever say isn't to someone else. It's what you say to yourself about yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And if you can master that, if you can choose to speak only words that lift, empower, and strengthen your spirit, then there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that can hold you back from the life you were born to live. Surround yourself with influences that feed your optimism, because your environment, more than your talent, your effort, or even your goals, shapes your mindset, molds your belief system, and determines the level of energy you wake up with every single day, and most people don't even realize they're living in a mental atmosphere that's slowly draining them dry. You must understand, optimism is not something that appears out of thin air. It is something you grow, nurture, and protect like a delicate flame. And if you place that flame in a room full of wind and rain, don't be surprised when it dies out. Every single influence in your life is either fueling that flame or smothering it. The people you talk to, the shows you watch, the books you read, the music you play, the social media you scroll, all of it is programming your mind, and you better believe it's either lifting you higher or pulling you lower, one moment at a time. That's why you have to be ruthless about your circle, ruthless about what you allow into your space, because your spirit can't soar in a cage built by negativity, doubt, and small-minded thinking. You want to build a dream. You better start by building an environment where that dream can breathe. Spend enough time around people who complain, and you'll find yourself complaining. Spend enough time around people who settle for less, and soon your goals will shrink just to match theirs. But surround yourself with dreamers, doers, encouragers, thinkers, people who light up when they talk about the future, who believe in pushing boundaries, who speak life into your vision even when it's just a whisper, and you'll feel something shift inside you. Suddenly, ideas come faster, fear shrinks, courage grows, and optimism becomes your default setting, not your struggle. And let me tell you something. This doesn't happen by accident. You don't just stumble into a high vibe environment. You create it brick by brick, choice by choice, word by word. That means letting go of some people, even if it's uncomfortable. That means turning off the noise that fills your head with fear, anger, and hopelessness. That means replacing it with voices that make you believe again. Don't tell me you want to change your life if you're not willing to change your surroundings. The truth is, your inner world will never rise above your outer influences for long. So stop holding on to conversations that drain you. Stop tolerating environments that make you feel stuck. Stop confusing loyalty with self-destruction. If someone constantly doubts you, belittles your ideas, or mocks your growth, they are not your people. They are your anchors, and you don't rise while carrying weight you were never meant to hold. Instead, look for people who challenge you to dream bigger, not shrink smaller. Look for people whose eyes light up when you tell them your goals, not people who roll their eyes in disbelief. Build relationships where encouragement flows freely, where progress is celebrated, not envied, where your wins don't make them feel small. They make them feel inspired. Those are the people who feed your optimism, and it's not just about others, it's also about you. You've got to be the kind of influence you wish to be around. Speak with hope, act with intention, share positivity. Celebrate others. Create a vibration that attracts the energy you want to live in. Be the sunlight in someone else's storm, and you'll find that the light comes back to you even stronger. Now look around your daily environment, your home, your desk, your phone screen. Is it designed for joy, growth, and focus? Or is it cluttered with distractions, complaints, and reminders of lack? Create a space that makes your mind feel alive. Post your goals where you can see them. Play audio that inspires you. Read words that make you feel unstoppable. Watch stories of people who rose from nothing. Feed your optimism like your life depends on it, because it does. Without optimism, everything feels heavier. Every step forward feels like a struggle, but with optimism, even mountains seem climbable. You begin to believe again. You begin to expect more. You stop surviving and start creating, and don't wait for the world to feed your hope. The news won't. Most people won't. Even your past might not. That's why you've got to take ownership. You've got to decide, right here and now, that your optimism is sacred, and you will do whatever it takes to protect it. You will seek out the mentors, the messages, the materials that refill your belief when the tank runs low. You will distance yourself from anyone who treats your hope like a joke. You will guard your spirit like a warrior because you know optimism is not naive. It is strategic, it is survival, it is fuel, and in a world that constantly tries to dim your light, choosing to stay hopeful is one of the most powerful things you can do, because what you believe about the future determines how you act in the present. If you expect things to go wrong, you won't put in your best effort, you won't take risks, you won't see the point, but if you expect things to work out even if you don't know how, you show up differently. You give more, you stay longer, you bounce back faster. That's what optimism does. It keeps the engine running when everyone else has already walked away, and make no mistake, you will be tested. There will be days when your faith wavers, when life hits harder than expected, when the dream feels far away and your heart feels heavy. And on those days, your environment will either hold you up or pull you under. Your circle will either remind you who you are or let you forget, so build a life that reflects your future, not your fears. Surround yourself with books that expand your mind, with music that elevates your energy, with mentors who remind you of your power, and with friends who clap the loudest when you win. Don't underestimate the power of proximity. What you're around, you become. So if you want to become someone who never gives up, who sees possibilities in every challenge, who walks through the fire and still dares to dream, then get around people and influences who live like that. Don't just admire them from a distance. Study them, emulate them. Let their words become your fuel. Let their example become your standard. And soon you'll find that their optimism has become your own, not because they gave it to you, but because you allowed yourself to absorb it. That's the power of surrounding yourself with the right influences. That's the magic of choosing your energy. That's how you build a life where belief becomes a habit, not a fight. So take the wheel. Steer your life toward the light, and whatever it takes, protect that light, feed it, nurture it, and never, ever let the wrong crowd blow it out. You were meant to shine. Make sure your surroundings agree. Train your mind daily to expect success, not fear failure, because the mind left untrained is like a wild horse. It runs wherever it wants, often dragging your hopes, dreams, and confidence through the mud of doubt, worry, and limitation, and unless you take the reins, it will default to survival mode, constantly scanning for danger, predicting worst-case scenarios, and sabotaging your potential before you even begin. The mind doesn't naturally drift toward victory. It must be directed there with focus, repetition, and conviction, and that is why you must condition it every single day, like an athlete trains a muscle, like a soldier sharpens a weapon, because the world will constantly hand you reasons to give up, but you must be the one who hands yourself reasons to keep going. Every morning you wake up, you are given two options, to feed your faith or feed your fear, and the one you feed is the one that grows stronger. Too many people go through life assuming that successful people were just born with confidence or lucky breaks, but the truth is, those who rise to the top are those who taught their minds, through daily discipline, to believe in the outcome they desired, even when there was no evidence of it yet. They didn't allow their setbacks to convince them that success was out of reach. They saw each obstacle as a test, a stepping stone, a necessary part of the process. And you can too, but it starts with mastering your inner dialogue, because your thoughts become the blueprint for your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results. If you constantly expect failure, your brain will go to work seeking reasons to justify it, pointing out everything that might go wrong, holding you back from taking action, making excuses for why you shouldn't even try. But if you train your mind to expect success, you activate a completely different system, one that looks for possibilities instead of problems, one that sees opportunities in opposition, one that fuels you with purpose instead of paralyzing you with fear. And make no mistake, training your mind is not a one-time thing. It is not something you do when you feel good or only when life is easy. It is something you do every day, especially when life is hard, especially when doubt creeps in, especially when you feel like quitting. You've got to speak to yourself like a champion even when you don't feel like one yet. You've got to remind yourself of your capabilities, your goals, your reasons, your victories, even the small ones, because the more you focus on the path forward, the harder it becomes to look back. Expectation is a powerful force. When you expect to succeed, you approach everything differently. You prepare more, push harder, speak with more confidence, carry yourself with more authority, and others begin to feel that energy too. People want to follow those who believe in themselves. Opportunities are attracted to those who act like they belong in the room. But if you walk into every situation assuming defeat, hesitation shows, your voice shakes, your body language weakens, and you start fulfilling your own prophecy. That's why your mindset must be fortified before you step into the battlefield of life each day. You must visualize yourself winning, achieving, advancing. See it so clearly in your mind that your actions begin to align with that vision, and your brain starts making it real, piece by piece. This is how you build unshakable belief. Not by waiting for success to show up, but by becoming the kind of person who attracts it through mental preparation and emotional conditioning. And don't misunderstand, expecting success doesn't mean you'll never fail. It means you won't fear failure so much that you stop trying. It means when failure does come, and it will, You won't see it as proof that you're not good enough, but as feedback, as refinement, as an essential step toward mastery. People who fear failure let it control their lives. People who expect success use failure as fuel. Which one will you be? Because the way you train your mind determines the path you take. And training it doesn't require hours. It requires consistency. Just 5 minutes each morning, speaking life into your day, reviewing your goals, affirming your worth, focusing on what you want instead of what you fear, can rewire years of negative programming. The problem is, most people don't do it. They wake up and go straight to their phones, straight to the noise, the comparison, the chaos, and they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, and defeated before noon. Your first thoughts set the tone for your entire day. Start them with strength. Start them with intention. Declare success over your day before it even begins. Say it out loud. I am prepared. I am focused. I am capable. I am worthy of success. These words matter, not because they magically change the world, but because they change you, and you are the one who changes the world around you. And when you do this every day, something begins to shift. Your doubts shrink, your confidence grows, you begin to take more risks, and those risks lead to results. You begin to walk into rooms differently, speak to people differently, handle problems differently, because you've trained yourself to expect success, not as a fantasy, but as a future you are actively building. And yes, there will still be moments when fear knocks, when things go wrong, when the road gets rough. But that's when your training kicks in. That's when you fall back on the mental muscles you've built, and instead of breaking down, you break through. Because your mind no longer sees setbacks as dead ends. It sees them as detours. It no longer sees challenges as threats. It sees them as training. And slowly but surely, you become someone who can handle more, do more, believe more, and achieve more. Not because the world got easier, but because your mind got stronger. And all of it started with a simple decision, to train your mind daily to expect success, not fear failure. To stop living on autopilot and start taking control of your thoughts. To stop letting fear make your choices and start letting vision lead the way. That decision can be made right now. You don't need permission. You don't need proof. You just need the discipline to begin, the faith to continue, and the courage to believe that success is possible for you, not someday, but starting today. So declare it, write it down. Speak it out. Let your mind hear it again and again. I expect good things. I expect growth. I expect solutions. I expect strength in struggle and joy in the journey. I expect to win, and even when I don't, I expect to rise. Because I've trained for this, I've prepared for this, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop a mind that refuses to quit. Let that be your standard. Let that be your foundation. Train it, speak it, live it. And watch how the world begins to rise to meet the expectation you planted first in your own mind.